not that far-fetched to answer by saying there's nothing morally wrong with it, because to have moral value, what you're calling moral value in the world, you have to have a human valuer. And maybe it's kind of disgusting, but I'm not going to say it's morally wrong, because you just told me not only are there no human moral valuers there, but there aren't any sentient valuers of any kind. There's not even a single squirrel. Now, if there was a single squirrel somewhere, maybe my answer would change, but you told me there aren't any. So, there cannot be any moral dimension to that decision. And what the last human being did in exploding those nuclear weapons and destroying all the life in the ocean is not morally wrong. It's just not. All right? For these technical, philosophical reasons. Yes?
What about saying that it would be morally wrong, but it ultimately doesn't matter whether or not it is morally wrong, because nobody would be able to stop that person?
Yeah. Well, we just want to defend, if possible, the simple claim that it's morally wrong. Okay. And the more prudential, practical questions, one would just want to put it in suspense. All right. And what Richard Rutley tries to argue with reference to this thought experiment is he tries to defend the claim that philosophers need a non-anthropocentric ethic, an ethic that affirms the intrinsic value of a marine ecosystem, for example, right? And that's why, and once we do that, once we accept the intrinsic value of the marine ecosystem, of all the plants that live in the ocean and their ecosystem, then we can answer the question quite confidently, right? Yes, it's morally wrong, of course. But if we don't, then we seem to be in a bind. And then all those people whose hands stayed down, right? Somehow you guys are just all confused, right? Unless there is a more than anthropocentric ethic lurking somewhere out there, right, that we can reasonably make appeal to. Okay? Anyway, the last human thought experiment. I'll refer to that throughout the rest of the term.
Well,
yes, Tyler.
I was thinking, wouldn't that be stupid? Because you'd be destroying a chance at humans coming back, because then it became.
Yeah, we could be. I'm trying to find my attendance sheet. What happened to my backpack? Is it over there? There it is. Okay, well, so I'll jump ahead a little bit to environmental virtue ethics. It's in poor taste, we could say, too, right? It's in poor taste, and even though humans might be the only one who have moral status, it's still inconsistent with virtue to do that.
But from an anthropocentric point of view, wouldn't it be the best thing for the last person on the earth
Yes.
not destroy it? Because that would give us the possibility.
But now you're kind of cheating because you're going outside the bounds of the thought experiment. The idea is that humans over with. Humans are over. They're not going to come back. But yes, if you want to hold out the possibility that humans are going to come back, then you want to sustain the life support system that would be necessary for them to come back and flourish. So yeah, so it would be foolish for remote human interests, perhaps, to destroy the life in the oceans. The original experiment was just about the redwood forest. Changes it, I guess, a little bit. Because obviously oceans, the life in oceans is far more important to future human interests, if they were to arise, than a redwood forest. Anyway, I don't know if we really got through all the stuff I wanted to get through today. We are now, we've got to be ready for Christopher Stone. We're getting into Christopher Stone now. There's the Mineral King Valley. That was the subject of this big moral struggle in the southern Sierra Nevada mountains. So I like to simplify things. The neo-Kantians have their own version of the categorical imperative. I know I take liberties, right? Other philosophy professors might not, agree, but I'm trying to set this out as simply as possible for my students, right? And it might not be fair to characterize Rolston and Milstein as neo-Kantians, but they're certainly a lot closer to being neo-Kantians than anything else. And Schweitzer probably would object to me calling him a neo-Kantian too. But these are four different formulations of our moral obligations, okay? Obviously, the classical formulation says we have obligations only to one another, to one fellow humans. And then The animal rights formulation says we have obligations to some category of animals, all sentient animals perhaps. Regan wants to say all animals who are subjects of lives, and by that he means self-aware enough to be subjects of their own life, subjects of their own dramatic lives. I think he means to discount, exclude fish and most reptiles from, so. Regan's formula covers a somewhat smaller group of beings than Singer's, right? But Singer's a utilitarian. Singer, anyway. And then Schweitzer, of course, all of them, right? Just life, right? Biocentric means life-centered, right? So his formula is we have to treat the life in ourselves as an end, right? And the life in every other being, whether it's a human being or a mushroom or even a bacterium. And then here, ecological holes get plugged into the formula, right? And they have to push aside every living being. You can't be both a biocentric and you can't be both a biocentrist. You can't do these simultaneously. You have to be one or the other at one time. You can't do them both at the same time. You see why, right? Because the biocentrist wants to treat every individual being, respect and protect the moral status of every, and the ecocentrist wants to protect and respect the moral status of the ecological whole, right? And that is inconsistent, right? Some animals are going to die, right? That's just the way things go. So anyway, these guys are the most exotic argument of all. That seems to be what Robutter Milstein seems to be proposing to us. And that's the neo-Kantian moment in Aldo Leopold's land ethic, perhaps. Milstein does a good job of kind of teasing it out, right? Leopold's saying that an ecologist's understanding of all these relationships that I've drawn up here on the board carries with it a recognition of moral obligations, right? Those moral, right, are binding on us as soon as we understand them, right? And then it doesn't matter what the consequences are. Those are good arguments too, but the neo-Kantians are saying they have the most comprehensive, the best arguments of all, right? Because they recognize the metaphysical status of these entities. Anyway, all right, so yeah, Stone on Thursday. Very exciting class on Thursday. I love his argument, reconstructing it all for you. Work hard on it, and enjoy your Wednesday. Stone on Thursday. Today's Tuesday. Don't get me confused. I'm an absent-minded professor. Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't graded, and I meant to send that attendance sheet around. Did it make it all the way around?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, so I don't have anything graded, but I will return all of your midterms on Thursday. I promise I'll get them all back to you on Thursday.
I will not be here Thursdays, so can I get it back Tuesday?
You can get it back Tuesday, or even send me an email, I'll tell you what you got.
Cool.
All right. I only got through about half of them. I wanted to return them today, but I only got through about half of them, so
They were so good.
they were pretty darn good, yeah. You guys are totally cutting edge, right?
You too.
When you apply for work in Chile and Argentina, managing the salmon runs down there, you can say, you know, way back in 2016, we were considering that question.
Somebody left this on the floor and I came up with them in the hallway to see if it was steam. But by the time I got out there,
You know, it has to go to the public safety, campus safety. Want me to take it to them?
I can take it.
Do you know where they are now? It's at the it's at the old Koinonia building, right? Montgomery. It's on the corner of Broadway and Montgomery.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it there.
You know where they're doing all that construction on the new business administration building?
Absolutely.
Right. So if they're facing the business administration,
Is that you? Okay, we were just trying to figure out what.
Yeah, no, I just was like, where's my wallet?
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a good weekend.
I have a question about the
Tuesday.
term
That's
paper.
what we're doing, right?
Actually, not me either.
If we wanted to write about like a different, like our own topic,
Yeah.
what exactly would need to be included in that? Like,
Well, you
I
have
noticed
to
that this is
zero-
like a common theme of like.
You have to zero in on moral philosophy, you know, on land management ethics, and
Say, for example, if I wanted to do something about like, you know,
I want
the
you to
greats-
do more. Look, the easy course is to plug in a utilitarian analysis, consequentialist analysis, spend 2 pages explaining why the consequences of approving genetically modified food or something like that are terrible, and then conclude that, and then make it a moral philosophy paper by including a paragraph at the end about how the Kantian would agree with this too. That's not it. And that's just a research paper where you've tacked on a little bit of philosophy. You want to make sure that your focus throughout is the normative question or the axiological question, or both, ideally both, right? And you're focusing on moral philosophy, and you're not just focusing on an outcome-driven analysis, right? So you can take any moral struggle. I mean, I just mentioned genetically modified organisms. In the past, we've included that. We've talked about that in this class. GMOs, right? Even the labeling question, I guess we could talk about. I mean, mostly just the production question is of greater interest to us. But take a moral struggle and you can turn it into an environmental ethics essay, right? I just want to make sure that you're spending time to explain the difference between, for example, an anthropocentric answer to the moral struggle and a more than anthropocentric answer to the moral struggle.
Okay.
And
A wholly unrelated question, but how did I do on the midterm?
oh, I think I gave you about an 87 out of 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I knocked off 7 points on one and 8 points on another. So maybe I gave you an 85, 87, somewhere around there. Maybe 80s.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember yours. Yours was very clearly written, and you knew what you were talking about. I just felt like there wasn't quite enough depth to your philosophical analysis.
Yeah, I'll come to that. All right, well, I'll send you an email or something.
Okay, yeah, no, I do encourage students to choose a topic of their own, to devise a topic of their own, Andrew. So by all means, keep working on that, and just let me know what you want to write about, and I'm sure that it'll be fine.
Are you familiar with the Kantian moral struggle of the runaway trolley?
Yeah. Yeah, the runaway trolley example.
Yeah.
I think that the Kantian has to